What's up, guys? It is Kyle Radue here today, and you know what this channel is. This channel is the Truth Channel, where I tell you the truth and only the truth. And I also give you some advice as to, what I think about a situation. I'm not going to waste any time. I think I have a lot to say about university and the school curriculum and about, the mental health in school, the declining of mental health in school. So as you know, I think about 2 days ago I made a video about why school is rigged, and that was part one. So today is part two, and I'm going to tell you why school is rigged, and I hope that this video actually settles the point that I'm trying to make on why school is a scam, and as to why you should not really pay attention in school when it comes to teachers, especially. So let's not waste any time and let us get right into it. Let's start off with university. Remember how if you haven't watched my previous video, I would recommend that you watch the previous video, which was part one. Really watch that first so you can understand, because I am relating back to some of that. Not much though. Some of this is new information. I think, and some of it is from the previous video. So please, can you go back and watch the other video first before you watch this video, so you can get a general understanding and the full understanding as to why school is rigged. So let's not waste any time. Remember when I spoke about why you should not get that student loan, and the reasoning that I had as to why you should not get that student loan is because you're going to have that bad debt, and you're going to be paying that bad debt off within the next 20 years. And within the next 20 years, that debt actually grows more and more. So the more you don't pay for it. I said this especially as to why you shouldn't take a student loan is just on the US education alone. It is reaching about $1.6 trillion. $1.6 trillion. Do you know how you can't even fathom that amount of money? And do you know how many people are actually getting that student loan? Only 44 million. Now compare the two. I'll make a brief example just in seconds. Right? Take 1,000,000 seconds. Count to 1,000,000 seconds. It takes you 12 days. Count to 1,000,000,000 seconds. It takes you 37 years. Now imagine the difference between 44 million people who are getting a student loan and the educational debt being 1.6 billion. Let that sink in as to why the student loans are a bad thing for you. Now, I searched up what the average salary for just a university graduate in South Africa is. The average paying amount per year is 240,000 rand a year, right? Which equals up to around about 20,000 a month. I'm doing some math here, so if I'm a little bit off, please don't hate me in the comments. But so let's say let's take a student loan that you need to be paying off for the next 20 years. So let's start off from scratch. You earn 20,000 a month, right? Which is right over the tax bracket per year, and that tax bracket is, I think, over 85,000 per year. That amount is taxed to about 26%, right? Which, if you deduct that over the month, it then leads you to about 3,000 rand deducted from your monthly salary, which makes it about 17,000 that you get per month. So let's say you now have to still pay rent, let's say you still have to pay for food, water, electricity, and then maybe something nice that you want for yourself, like some clothing, shoes, whatever. Then you're left with about 6 to 8 thousand at the end of the month. You're left with that much. Now, from that, if we go back to the beginning, right, where we still need to pay off your student loan for the next 20 years, right? Per month, you would be paying about 1,050 per month. So take that deducted from the 6 to 8K, then that leaves you with about 7,000 or 5,000 rand left at the end of the month, and that is the same salary that a minimum wage person would get and a person who did not go to university. Let that sink in. Can you not fathom, right, how much money that is that you are losing at the end of the day? Can you not think, okay, let's say if you did have the financial IQ, right? Obviously, the amount that you would get would obviously be, a little bit more. So, but I'm saying if you're a person who's striving to be independent and you are, buying food, electricity, water, and everything else, you are literally losing a ton of money, and which falls under the same amount of money that a minimum wage person would get. So, do you understand now why I say don't take a student loan? Literally, that is probably the last time I'm going to say it. Now, let's talk about the curriculum, the school curriculum, right? The school curriculum is so outdated because of the fact on how fast this world is growing. I mean, let's take this for an example. History, right? Why are we still learning in our history about the same damn topic that we've had for the past few, probably like 20 years already in our history books, right? Where we're talking about World War II, where we're talking about World War One, where we're talking about Adolf Hitler, when we talk about apartheid in South Africa. Why are we still learning that stuff? Honestly, why? Why are we still learning that stuff when we have got today's age where we are learning about technology? Why don't we learn about who created the first AI and then we learn from that? Then we know what that person did and how we could excel on that. But we're still learning about, why Adolf Hitler is such a bad person. And we're still learning about why World War One happened, why World War Two happened. Now, I'm not going to lie, that stuff is interesting. But the whole point that I'm trying to make is the fact that all that stuff is not necessary for your future, right? You are not going to take that stuff and take it into your future and then be able to have a sustainable life having that knowledge. So history should have taught us about the current history, right? I'm not saying that all the other stuff wasn't important, right? It is interesting, I'm not gonna lie. But school needs to start teaching us what the current history is so that we can learn from the current history because of the fact that they do not want us to get rich. Because if you knew how the first person created AI and you knew how to excel and become better than that person, you would be making a living. But school doesn't want to teach you that. Now, don't even get me started on life orientation, especially on the fact where life orientation was supposed to be about physical health and well-being and communication skills and teamwork skills. But they don't even do that anymore. I mean, the high school that I went to, they didn't even have proper phys ed, which is the physical training that we had in order to maintain healthy. They didn't have the proper education for us to sit together and learn what is what. Instead, they wanted to keep us separated and tell us to learn about HIV and AIDS. I'm not saying that is unimportant. It is a big deal, but it's not teaching the future generation about what is needed in life in general. It's life orientation, not disease learning. I know that wasn't really a proper word, but you get the point. What I'm trying to say is they'd rather teach you about things that are not important in this world than teach you problem solving skills, communication skills, teamwork skills, and just life skills in general. Even with the maths and physics situation, there was a time when I knew that that shit was BS at a point because of how they tested us. They never taught us how that maths problem came about and the reason as to why it is so important, why we need to figure it out. Instead, what they did was they just taught us what it is and then asked us to figure it out after them teaching us how to figure it out. To them, the importance is that they just plant a problem in front of us and expect us to solve it without us even having problem solving skills because of the life orientation. Do you see how this is adding up? I mean, even the physics. Yes, they taught us valuable skills, which is obviously the, Newton's third law and action, reaction, and all of that stuff. But they never taught us how to learn how to turn crude oil into gasoline, or they never taught us how to make our own colognes or own scented candles, because they knew when we start doing that, we would be able to make it, sell it, and actually start making a living from it. But once again, school does not do it because they don't want you rich. So instead, what they did was they just took us, put us in an area where we had to be tested based on stuff that we memorized. And there are questions that are like, the ball is thrown from the ground upwards with a certain velocity and it comes back down, and when the ball is thrown up, there's a boy that passes by. And the question that they ask in the test is, what is the force applied on the boy in order for him to stop 3 meters away from the ball? Now, how is that supposed to help you in the future? I mean, who cares about why the boy stopped 3 meters away from the ball? Why don't we just learn about why the ball was thrown? Why don't we just learn about the actual velocity of when the ball was thrown? Now, let's talk about mental health declining in schools, as in the mental health decline in schools. School has a very high number of kids who experience depression and high levels of anxiety. Depression is what they get because they are told that they are failures throughout their whole school career because of the bad marks that they get, which is the only things that the teachers actually see instead of what the person has actually tried to do. Then they also get anxiety because of them now getting the bad mark, and then they worry about them actually passing the term or passing the year or even school in general. And so they start having that anxiety for their whole life because they don't want to have that failure in their life. And what school doesn't teach you is that you actually need failure in order to grow. You can't expect something to be perfect all the time. And trust me, I know, because I've tried many things and it's failed so many times. But that's what makes me a winner, because winners chase failure. And if you're not chasing failure, you are not a winner. So losers are losers and winners are winners. If you're a loser, you're gonna lose. If you're a winner, you're gonna win. But when it comes to failure, you can either fail or learn. That is the only two things that comes with failure. Either you fail hard or you learn from that failure. And school doesn't teach you that. It's either you failed, that's it for you, you're done. Instead of, oh, you failed, but here's your mistake. Next time, if you do that, try this instead. Now, there is a few teachers who would actually do that, which I do appreciate. And 90% of teachers don't do that at all. It's either you got this mark wrong, so it's wrong, and that's the end of it. So this is the reason why people are depressed and have anxiety in school, because of the way that they are actually treated in the school. Do you honestly think that a school shooting happens because of that child that is depressed or has a mental illness or is, classified as a psycho? I'm not sticking up for these people who are obviously having these school shootings, but what I'm trying to get to is, do you honestly think that this shit happens, the school shootings? Do you honestly think that it happens because of this person who has a mental illness or this person who is a psycho? No. It is because of how teachers have treated these students and because of how the tests are set out to give these children depression and anxiety. The marks that have given them depression if they failed, the anxiety that they get because they know that they won't make it anywhere in life because the teachers have taught them that if they failed, they're not going to get anywhere in life, which is a massive problem in schools. So think about it. If you called a child, let's say from grade 5, if you called a child a failure for the next 10 years because they had bad marks, two things are going to happen. One, the person is going to remain a failure because it has subconsciously been put into their mind that they will never succeed, and that is all blamed because of people who stress that marks are your future and marks are not your future. Two, do you honestly think that someone who is told that they are a failure over the next 10 years is literally not going to start having enough of it? Do you expect them just to sit in a corner and cry alone? Or are you not waiting for them to actually have a reaction at the end of the day? What I'm trying to say is, because of you teachers, and I'm not blaming all you teachers, but the way that you are treating these kids, and the reason being as to why there is these mass school shootings, is because you are treating them in such a way that you are trying to make them feel like a failure, and that weight on their shoulders is way too much. They just start losing it. They lose their shit, they grab a gun, and they just start shooting, right? And it's not because they have a mental illness, not because they're depressed, not because they have anxiety. I mean, if I told you you were stupid for the next 10 years, are you not going to start feeling like a stupid? And I know some of you are going to say, no, Carl, I wouldn't care what you say. But soon enough, you're going to start feeling it. Soon enough, you're going to start having that anger as to me calling you stupid all the time, and then you're going to start losing your shit. But hey, I'm just the guy telling the truth here. I'm not going to carry this video on for long. This is what I have to say, and this is the only thing that I will say about schools and why it is a scam and why schools are rigged. So please, I would highly recommend that you watch part 1. And if you have watched part 1, I thank you for watching part 2. And I really would love if you guys could actually take this video and send it out to people who are in schools or in universities, so that not for me to get famous. I really don't care about fame. I just care about telling you guys the truth. And because of the fact that I wish I knew this sooner, if somebody randomly just sent me this out of nowhere and I watched this video, I would have been so relieved about school. I would have actually not even cared about it. I'm not saying you must, it's just a recommendation for you to send this video out to people. If you do have anything that you would like to comment about a problem or a situation, please comment down below, as I will help you, right, solve the problem. I will tell you the truth and why it is the truth. I'll tell you what is wrong, what is right, why it's stupid, why it's not stupid. And yeah, also, if you really like this content, I really recommend you hit that subscribe button. It really helped me a lot, because then I know that you people are interested in my kind of stuff, and that makes me want to post more. So yeah. Also, another thing is I'm posting today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, because Thursday to Monday I am going on an Easter camp, so I won't be able to be posting in that amount of days. So yeah, please don't expect me to be posting. I wish I was posting, but I'm not going to be in town to post, so I won't have my computer to edit these videos, nor will I have my phone to make these videos. But over these next few days, I really do just want you guys to know that I'm here to help you. I'm not here to get views and subscribers, but the reason why I would say I'm trying to get views is because the more views I get, the more that I know that this message is going out to people, and the more people I know that I'm helping. But once again, this is Kyle Radue, the Truth Channel, where I tell you the truth and only the truth. So stay true, kings, and live life to the fullest.